It's a bit strange writing this. I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism for it from most of the people who would read this. I even condemn these actions, to be honest. I wouldn't be doing this if I was instructed to by my therapist. People have read it. This isn't one of those AIT things, because I already know that I was an idiot. I am simply writing this to see if it could help me move on, as I said before, because my therapist specifically said I should. My boyfriend of 3 years left without saying a word when he found me with another man. Well, he actually was my fiancé. The event occurred just a week before our wedding, and I've been distraught ever since. I grew up a carefree young girl. I did whatever it was that made me happy, regardless of who I hurt in the process. I've lost a number of friends because of this, and I never thought I'd lose the only person I've loved so dearly. I then met Jake, who I was 26 at the time, and at a bar on St. Patrick's Day. He was the only one not wearing green in the bar that day. He walked up to me and said, "Hey, leprechaun, here's your pot of gold." He opened his palm to reveal that he had some pot. I was already a little bit tipsy, so I said, "Why not, if not? Join me outside for a drag." I said, "Mr. Pot of Gold, this really is good stuff, but I must ask you, why aren't you wearing green?" I gave him the joint and he passed it back. "I don't live by the rules of society," he said, taking another drag. We talked for hours that night, both of us pretty high. I asked him to roll another joint, but he quickly turned it down. He said he had enough pot for at least 2 more blunts. But he wasn't smoking anymore, because that day was actually the first day he ever smoked. He told me how he had always seen me at the bar on occasions and how he had learned that I smoked. He said that initially he was put off, but he just wanted to talk to me more than he cared that I smoked. He even added that if we were to be together, I'd have to quit down the line. I thought that was pretty bold of him, already talking about being together at the first meeting. I didn't know if it was him or the weed talking, but I laughed when he said it. He was cute, actually had a nice jawline, was tall, and from the way his clothes were fitted to him, he was also, I thought to myself, quite fit. This would be fun. I decided to go with the flow. I don't know if it was the high on my part, but something about him felt comforting. His deep, raspy baritone voice, the way he spoke with so much pizzazz. I was almost a foot shorter than he was, so I felt like I could cozy up to him. That was how I met him. He said he was already in love with me, and it showed from the first day. It didn't take long for me to meet him halfway. I fell hopelessly and helplessly in love with him. He texted me immediately after he got home, which made me feel on top of the world. We went out together a lot after that. We were in what most people in my generation would call a talking stage for about 4 months. We shared everything about ourselves with each other. He taught me how to prepare his favorite meal, and I did likewise. It wasn't long before we knew every detail about one another. I still remember it. Our first kiss was at a wedding we gate-crashed. He was at my place, and we were playing Monopoly together. He suddenly turned to me and said, "You know what would be so fun right now?" I asked what, and he said, "If we crashed a party." I asked what kind of party it was, and he said he'd rather not tell, but I better bring my name. I brought it. We took a taxi to the place, not too far from where I lived, but not so close that we could walk there. The cab driver greeted us. Like we were a couple, he asked where we were headed. I was about to say we weren't together, but he cut me off with his laughter and said, "My girlfriend is about to make someone's bride feel second best at her own wedding." The cab driver nodded in approval and drove to the address he was given. "You know, we're not dating, right?" I said to Jake. "Don't worry," he replied. "After the night we'll have today, we definitely will be." He added as he put his jacket around me. I lost track of what I was saying. I was really curious about why he didn't say it was a wedding if he knew who was getting married, and why he decided to crash a party he wasn't invited to. I couldn't think of any good excuses. When we arrived at the wedding, it turned out that he knew quite a lot of the people there. The way they looked at me made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be there, which was true, because neither of us should have been. I was there when the wedding started. I asked him the questions I wanted to ask. He told me the groom was a close friend of his. That is, until they both fell in love with the same lady, the bride. He told me how one day, whilst playing FIFA 14, they had talked about how to remedy the situation. Since neither of them was willing to back down, they had decided to settle it with a game winner. One of them had to talk to her, and the other had to stay clear. He had lost the game. He decided he wasn't going to stick around much. He wished his friend good luck and left what he called a love chain. He said the two were in love with her, and she loved the two also. That day was the first time he spoke with either of them since he lost the FIFA 14 match. I thought I was crazy how men made pacts based on games and she. I was even crazier that they do keep to those pacts. It was none of my business. Later at the reception, the three friends Jake caught up with her and they shared a dance. I have to admit that I was a bit jealous seeing them dance together, especially after what he said earlier. "Is that jealousy on your face?" Jake asked as he did the slight bow that made me think he wanted to dance with me. I took his hand and we started dancing. "I thought you said we weren't together." "You have no right to be jealous," he added. "What if I wanted a right to be?" I said jealous. What did I just say? Jake really had a way of making me reveal my true desires. He smiled at me. We kept dancing, but now he'd pulled me closer to him, and I could feel his heart beating against the top of my head. He whispered sweet nothings in my ear when the dance was coming to an end. He raised my head with his hands, looked me in the eyes, and said those three words that would make anyone feel on top of the world. Then he kissed me. It felt like, after the kiss, my face was flushed and I had butterflies in my stomach. While still looking me dead in the eyes, he said, "Now you have the right to be jealous." He laughed and he had a beautiful smile. Writing this is making me tear up. I don't know how I ruined such a beautiful thing in less than 4 hours. I won't be writing this if I wasn't told to. It hurts to recall every memory we shared. I messed up. I had everything any woman could want, and I messed it up. I let my stupid actions ruin it. We spent every day together. He was a web developer, so he did most of his job remotely, only having to show up at the office once or twice a week. One of the many things I loved about him was how he had his life in order. Most people his age were just starting up, figuring things out, or making it up as they went. He lived a near nice. 2 years into our relationship, I had already quit smoking for a year. He really did call it. We had started living together, and since I didn't have a job then, I was home most of the time. I normally smoked when I was bored, tired, or unhappy. I was never any of those things when I was with him, so I didn't. I'd even clicked that I hadn't smoked for a long time, until he pointed it out in and around our second year. My younger sister got married to her high school sweetheart, and I was happy for her, honestly. But as we all know, watching your younger sibling get married before you normally tends to hit a nerve. It did hit a nerve. For me, it was a question mark, a sarcastic laugh, and I went with my dear Jake to the wedding. He noticed something was off about me at the reception, saying that he knows when I'm genuinely happy and when I'm happy, but also sad about something. He was persistent in getting me to talk about it, telling jokes and everything. Well, it worked. I told him how happy I was that my sister was getting married and how it was good that she didn't have to get hurt by a man or get her heart broken. I told him how I knew she was a very soft and fragile girl and how I was always worried that she might have to go through being cheated on or any of such heartbreaking relationships. I told him how happy I was for my sister and how it was good that she didn't have to get hurt by a man or get her heart broken. I told him how I knew she was a very soft and fragile girl and how I was always worried that she might have to go through being cheated on or any of such heartbreaking relationships. I told him how it made sense that she, of all my sisters, was the one who got the fairy tale love story. I also told him what really bothered me while growing up. My family always made jokes about how I'd probably be the last one to get married. It was a running theme in the house. I even have a nickname at home, Runaway Bride. I told him how, as we stood there dancing, I was the only single one amongst us. I didn't think he'd understand, and he was always someone who didn't really care much about getting married. His words, "if I get to have that love," had made me think. I've been thinking about getting married, and I'm not going to rule it out, but I won't be upset if it doesn't happen." He tried to comfort me for a few seconds but couldn't, then got up and left. I thought he was done with the wedding, but he said I should stay put. He just wanted to. He left the wedding gift in the car when he came back. He and I went to present our gift to the newlyweds. After that, he went straight to the DJ and asked for a microphone. I wondered what for. He started by thanking the family for welcoming him. He praised the couple's longevity and said that he admired what they have. Then he called me forward. I didn't even know why. My face told the story. "I'm sorry, Ralph. I know you and your lovely wife didn't imagine that something other than your wedding would be going on today." He started and everyone laughed. "Jessica, don't worry. When you play this back, you'll love what's about to happen." But for now, let the couple share a kiss for the crowd. The crowd joined the chant until the two had kissed. Now that the couple has kissed, let's change the topic, jelly bean. As I told you before, if I find that special love that makes me want to get married, I'll go for it. I'm really grateful that God brought you into my life. You've brightened up my world. Over the years, we've been inseparable. I've been planning to do this for a few weeks, but I think it's meant to be that I do it now. Today, remember when we first kissed? It was at a wedding, so now at another wedding, I'd like to ask you this question. Wait. Is he about to do what I think he's about to do? I thought to myself, I was starting to get FL mustard. He got on one knee and pulled a box out of his coat pocket. Oh my gosh, he is. I couldn't contain my happiness anymore. I started vibrating like a toddler who's had a lot of sugar. "Runaway bride, would you like to have the right to be jealous for the rest of our lives together?" That was pretty cheesy of him to use the same words he said when we first kissed. I was really happy he was asking me to marry him. I screamed yes and jumped on him. We both fell to the ground and the crowd laughed and clapped. Before I go on, I'd like to leave advice for any woman who's planning her wedding. Don't think too much about it. It's not the wedding itself that matters, it's the marriage. The rest of your life together is what matters most. Planning the wedding was really stressful, especially as I had just started a new job. My husband-to-be only asked for one thing. He didn't want a bachelor or bachelorette party. He also wanted to wear a brazen. The traditional outfit of the Igbo tribe in Nigeria is called an auke. As I got into the nitty-gritty of wedding planning, I found myself getting frustrated and angry. I even started transferring my aggression onto Jake. Thankfully, he was always calm and helped me calm down when I was tense. He told me that he didn't care about the wedding. All he wanted was me to look back and smile. I don't even understand why that made me angry when the wedding was just around the corner. The wedding was coming up, so I decided I needed to unwind or treat myself because I was feeling stressed. I told my maid of honor to throw me a bachelorette party, and she was happy to do it. She said that telling him wasn't going to be easy, so I thought I'd try to make it seem like it was his idea. I tried every single manipulation tactic I had learned on him, but nothing worked. He always responded with the same 6 words. I only asked for 2 things. A week before the bachelorette party, I decided to come clean. He was furious. I didn't know why. I didn't see why holding a party to cool off for myself would be a big deal. I didn't think it would be so bad that he didn't even sleep at home that night. I was mad at him for not understanding why I wanted the party. I was also mad at him for only seeing it as a betrayal. I was really angry at him. He made me feel bad about a party I had planned for myself to unwind. Every time I tried to apologize, he said the only apology he'd accept was me calling off the party. I didn't, though. 2 days into the party, he called me to the room and apologized for overreacting. He said he understood why I would want the party and that I should go have fun. I finally had my way at the party. There were lots of male strippers. My colleague was one of them. She was really sexy. I won't lie, but I initially only wanted to dance and forget the stress I'd had in the last 3 months. 5 shots down, I was tongue deep inside one of the strippers while I was in the middle of my foolishness. I noticed a figure that looked like Jake's. I thought it was impossible. I thought he'd be there. I don't remember much else. The next day, I woke up with a terrible hangover. I saw a man sleeping next to me, so I assumed it was my boyfriend. When I walked out of the room, I realized I didn't know this apartment. My friends all started asking questions. They wanted to know if the man was good, if he made me come, and if I knew Jake. I rushed back to the room and saw that the man in the room was one of the strippers. I was confused. Did I just sleep with one of the strippers? I heard someone say Jake came over here. I rushed out of the room and out of the apartment. I went to my place. When I got there, the echo of me putting my key in the lock was something else. When I walked in, a note fell on me from the smopper. On top of the door, the note said, "Hope it was worth it." I looked up and saw my place, empty. The only things left were the things I bought myself. Jake had moved everything he owned in the house out. I cried. I still have the note. I keep it as a reminder not to up the good things I have going on. I tried to call Jake, but he didn't answer. I tried to text him, but he didn't reply. I went on WhatsApp to text him there, but he didn't respond. I saw it when he updated his status. It said, "It's over, guys, wedding's off." He'd blocked me on all platforms and cleared everything he had in this place. There wasn't any chance of ever seeing him again. That was 3 years ago. The lack of closure makes it harder to forget him. I've been in therapy for 3 years, but I haven't been able to move on from the hurt I caused myself. I had to tell my family why I wasn't getting married again. They were all disappointed in me. I don't think I'll be able to move on from this. I know I don't even have the right to ask for anything. I really wish I could find happiness again after blowing this one. I know people don't always get a second chance, but I really need to be happy. It's been 3 years and I've been miserable. Jake, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry. I still love you.